Okay, we're now going to look at some other areas that you can record information on. The first area we're going to look at are resident movements. If we click on Record Care Plan Information and click on Movement Chart, you'll see all the residents who are being monitored for movement. It's really important to understand that the only reason a resident will appear in this list is that they are being monitored for movements. If the resident isn't in the list, you'll need to have their managed monitoring changed. You can do that by speaking to a clinical lead who will be able to change that for you. So for example, if we were to say that our gentleman Fred Jones, we want to record a movement for him, we can record the starting position of that movement. So we could say in bed on the right hand side, and that he's been moved to a chair. And we hit save, and that movement now has been recorded. It's also important to note you've got the View Care Review option on this screen as well, and also you can change the date and the time if you want to. Another area that I want to show you is the fluid intake chart recording. Record care plan information and select fluid intake. And again, this residents list will only show you the residents that we are monitoring for fluid intake. So we'll select our resident that we want to record fluid intake for. And on here, all we do is we mark on the beaker using our finger how much fluid intake the gentleman has had. You can see the quantities are changing as we mark higher and lower up the beaker. It also shows you on the top left hand corner here how much fluid they've had recorded today so far, when it was last recorded, etc. You can change the date and the time as you can with other screens, and if you want to, you can select the total intake amount and you can change it to a precise amount if you need an accurate figure. You can associate any recording with a health issue if a health issue exists for a resident, and you can also add a comment if you so wish by clicking on the edit button and then typing a comment in here. Okay. Again, we have the View Care Review option. If we select that option there, it will load the nutrition and hydration needs for this particular resident. We haven't got a care review currently active. And then finally we can do save intake, and that information will go onto his care plan. Now when we are adding fluid intake, not only is that information going into a care plan area where we can look at analysis, it's also creating a care plan note. As we said previously, everything you record on the system creates a care plan note. The next area we're going to touch on for this section is the activities recording. Again, we can go into Record Care Plan Information, and we can select Activities as our first option. Now from this screen, you can select the residents that have taken part in an activity, and you can select more than one. You can also, by touching these camera icons, you can select a load or take a picture, and you can select 2 pictures on this particular screen. You can also enter a comment at the bottom. Now that comment can be free text, so you can select the edit button and you can start typing, or you can select build and then you can select and to build a comment yourself. So for example, you could say that the residents declined to take part in an activity. So we're still recording that you've offered an activity to a resident, but they've declined. You can also select the View Care Review option, which will allow you to go to a particular care plan and you can see information about a particular resident in that particular area. And when you're happy and you've got the images loaded that you wanted, you can have Save Activity, and that information gets stored into the care plan. And again, just like everything else, a note will be created for those residents with those images, as well as a separate record in the activities section of the care plan. It's worth noting that photographs are really important and something which we'll touch on later, and especially important when recording activities.